almost as insane as that take about the NASCAR drivers not being athletes and shit.
Big Smitty, hold up. No. You ain't gonna drop that. You ain't gonna drop that and roll out, bro. That ain't working like that. Big Smitty, I need to hear from you on this now. I need to hear. Whoa!
I know we just met, brother. I know we just met.
Hey, you know
I like my answer though.
Hey, we play that video all the time on commercials.
We do. I've seen it so many times. I used to be on your side, man. I'm not gonna lie. I used to be on your side, but actually getting a chance to like do a little bit of research behind the force and the impact that these drivers go through when they're driving 200, plus miles per hour, and some of the equipment that they actually have made and technology they have to like prepare their bodies for that type of force. After more studies, I gotta consider them an athlete. I know it's weird, but to me, you could be an athlete and not be athletic. I think it's two different things.
So everybody, hey, real quick, I'm gonna show this real quick so everybody gets a context of what we're discussing.
Let me ask you this. This is a totally different subject because I'm sitting there watching this NASCAR and I've had this conversation with multiple people. NASCAR drivers, athletes or no?
Yes, this is why. Basically, I said yes. Ty said no, and Vic Smitty, you agreeing with me on this?
I know, man. It's a rarity on this show for us to agree, but I
got 2.5 Men shirt on.
So look, that last line said it all to me. You can be an athlete without being athletic. All right, so based on your and JB's definition of an athlete, the greatest athletes on earth today are jet fighter pilots because no one experiences more G-forces than these cats. The Blue Angels, those dudes are, forget Dion, Bo, Muhammad Ali, the Blue Angel pilots, unbelievable athletes. Come on, fellas. If you're not making an athletic movement, you can be an athlete at home on weekends, but if you are not making an athletic movement while performing the quote-unquote sport or activity you're doing, then you are not an athlete. If you're paid, you're not a professional athlete. You're a professional fighter pilot. You are a professional race car driver that will outdrive me, circles around me all day, every day. Probably got better core strength than me. You might be in better shape than me. You might be better looking than me, especially the ladies that are driving. But you are not a better athlete than me if all you do is put your foot down or your fingers to give the engine, the real athlete, the gas. I am not disrespecting the skill set and the concentration, right, and the mental toughness that you have to drive 500 miles in that circle. That's real. If you lose concentration, you might die. Respect the heck out of that. Same thing with equestrian jumpers on the horses. Takes a lot of skill, right? Takes a lot of practice, a lot of work, 5,000 hours, the whole nine. Takes some core strength in that as well. But the athlete is the horse. So if you're not performing an athletic movement, you can't be an athlete.
Hey, so a jockey, you don't give a jockey the same thing?
Again, the athlete is the horse. The horse jockey is very skilled. They're professionals. They're great at what they do. I'm falling off the horse. I have no idea. I'm a little afraid of horses. I get it. I'm with you on that. You gotta have some onions too now. Those little dudes and little ladies on the back of those horses, you gotta have some onions because those are some very powerful athletes in those horses because you can fall off and get run over. We get it. I mean, it's unbelievable what they put their body through, the dedication to their sport. They are pros. But if what you're doing is sitting on the back of a horse and taking a strap and hitting the horse to make the horse run faster, you're not an athlete.
Somebody in the chat asks, okay, would you consider a bowler an athlete then? Somebody who's great at bowling?
The absolute lowest on the totem pole athlete. Yes. Why? Why? Because it's an athletic movement. They are providing the power to the ball. They're providing the spin to the ball. They're placing the ball down where it needs to be. And remember some of the criteria we mentioned, JB. If past the age of 40, you are consistently at the highest level of your sport, not just your local YMCA, but if you're in the highest level of your sport in the world, you're not an athlete. I'm sorry?
Golfer?
Golfers don't consistently compete in the top 5 on the PGA Tour. They might get one or two past the age of 40. You might have a nice run at an event, but our 40-year-old golfers on the PGA Tour consistently in the top 5 of the world. You check the top 5. How you guys check right now? The top 5 of the world golfers, are any of them over the age of 40? That's one. Two.
You're saying they're not athletes, though.
I'm sorry?
They're like bowlers on the athletic side?
Correct. They're more athletic than bowlers. But the fact that the 40-year-old can't compete against the highest level, that means they're athletes. If women on the same level, same playing field as men, can compete and win, they're not athletes. Women race car drivers can beat men race car drivers. No question about it. I watched Danica Patrick finish in the top, I think she was in the top 5 at Indy when I was there. Unbelievable. That's because they're not athletes. But as soon as you make them do an athletic movement, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, women can't compete on the same level as men. So these criteria have to go. And so for bowlers, there's a women's league and a men's league for a reason. And being able to roll that ball down with power is important to knock those pins down.
Have you hollered at Pollard, man? Because I've had B Pollard on here, and he's now invested in this race and stuff. I gotta ask him. Next Wednesday, I got Chris Rice on. He's the president at Colleague Racing. He's the actual president. He's gonna come on Wednesday. I can't wait to add. I'm gonna show this clip. Cut this clip, Bailey.
And look, you better have me on because you're not gonna do a good job of representing my side. I'm gonna tell you that right. I already know. So you better show my clip. Don't try to quote me because you're not gonna sell it the way I do. And look,
if you can come on, shit, we'll have both of you on. He's the president of a NASCAR racing club. He's coming on. That'd be huge. That'd be big.
That'll be arguing on there the whole show.
Exactly. And look, I like NASCAR. I went to my first event over at the Coliseum, man. It was a short track race. And it was fun, bro. And they were, knocking up against each other. That short track is a little different. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have some real, some heart, man, because you bumping and grinding. And so I got a lot of respect for it and enjoy watching it, but they're not athletes.